Okay, hi everybody. It's Swain. Today's February 11th, and I'm going to do a call tonight on craft fairs and events. And I'm pretty excited about this because it's one of the things I enjoy doing, and I've been doing them actually quite often. So we're going to go ahead and get started and talk a little bit about this. And for some of you guys, you might have been doing or been with the Scentsy family for a while. So some of this stuff might be basic for you, but hopefully you guys can learn a little bit off it. But I really wanted to go through everything because I know we have quite a bit of new people, and so I want to go through everything that has to do with events. And I'm going to give you guys just probably an opportunity to ask questions if you guys have any questions at the end. But first thing I want to start off with saying is on the events. Hi, how are you doing? On the events, when you hear about them, the first thing I'm going to say is when you find an event that you like, don't wait. Register right away and pay so that they know that you're serious. And one of the reasons I say that is because it happened to me quite a bit where I would be looking for something and I would call them. And I know Scensy's policy has changed and we can have more than one vendor at an event, but in most cases, the people putting the events on, they don't want more than one vendor at the event. Like I'm doing an event right now for the school. I'm actually the event coordinator, and that's one of my jobs is to make sure we don't have too many of one thing. So I don't want more than one of the same direct sales company or even too many jewelry people or too many clothes people. So when people are the event coordinators and they're looking for that stuff, that's what they're looking at. They're looking at trying to get a variety. So make sure, and one of the things that I do on the other side that right now when I'm coordinating this is I make sure I know that the people that get the money to me right away are serious. So if you're going to, if you're planning on doing an event, know what you guys want off the bat before you guys start calling and looking. And I will get into where you can find more information on how to get events. But, I mean, if you guys know off the bat, this is how much I'm willing to spend on an event. I hear a lot of background noise. So if you guys could just press *6 to mute yourself. If you could just press *6, that'd be great. It'll mute you. Perfect. Okay, so again, just know off the bat. I mean, if you need to talk it over with someone to see, hey, like I always talk with my spouse about everything. So I'm like, what do you think about me doing an event for this price? So know off the bat before you start looking what your price is and how much you want to spend on booths. And it may be different. Like for me, sometimes I do more than one booth a month, and I know that there are certain times of the year, like the fall, I do lots of booths during that time. So you need to know your budget up front. How much are you willing to spend? So that if something comes across right away, you can say, yes, I'm going to take that. And there's no going back and forth because you already know in your head what you want. So, again, know what you want, register quickly, pay right away. And I'm just going to get into one of the reasons, and again, this is why I do events. And one of the reasons I do events is to get out there and network and meet new people. One of the things I like to tell my girls when they join, and the girls on my team, is get out of your circle of friends. And for me, this has been a great way for me to get out of my circle of friends and for me to meet people. So I got to the point where I try to do at least one a month. Depending on what's going on. If I know I have a giant fundraiser or something like that, then I won't. But I try to at least try to do one because it's going to put me into contact with more people that I have not met in a short period of time, like in a day or 2 or 3 hours or whatever it is. I'm going to meet more people than I ever have in that little time. So that's one of the reasons I do it. During the spring and the fall, I do more. So anyways, a benefit, again, is to meet new people and network with new people, to go out of your circle of friends. And another thing is it helps boost up my sales. So if I'm in a, time of the year where I know I want to get higher sales or whatever, I know that if I have an event scheduled, I'm going to do well at an event and I'm going to get sales. And I do all three family brands. I've done all three at events. I personally prefer to do Scentsy more. because it's just been my baby more. I mean, I've been around it more. I'm more comfortable with it. Grace Adele and Velada are a little bit newer, and I have done both Grace Adele and Velada booths. But there's something about Scentsy when I walk in sometimes it's just like, oh, as I'm walking in, people are like, okay, I need something. So it's just been easier for me. And I'm more known, you know how they say to brand yourself. I'm more known in my area as a Scentsy person. And slowly they're starting to see Grace Adele with me too. But as of right now, I'm more known as a Scentsy person. So the benefits is it's also to get bookings. Events have helped me so much to get party bookings. I have so many people that ask me, or tell me, I just don't have any more friends. I don't know who else to ask to get parties. Events is a huge way for you guys to get bookings. Again, get out of your circle of friends and get bookings with other people. So we're going to go into where you could find events. And one of the things I do is I Google. I go on Google and I literally look up events and I put my zip code. I look at local papers. We have like these mailers that come in the mail that kind of say everything that's going on in the city and stuff like that. I moved here, it's been 2 years, so I'm starting to get to know what happens in our city all the time. So, the things that happened last year that I might have, I didn't get into it, but I might have seen it. I make note, okay, that's in November. So around November, is when it's going to happen. So you want to look probably anywhere about 4 to 5 months before the time of the event and start looking. Some things start to book even 6 months in advance. So you want to start looking for the stuff ahead of time. A lot of people will be like, and this happened to me when the first year I started Scentsy, I was like, oh, I want to do events, and spring was here, and I'm looking for events. Well, everybody had already booked for the spring events way in advance, and I couldn't get into anything. So remember, when you're looking for events, you have got to look for them ahead of time, not when the season's upon you. I'm just going to tell you guys, again, I told you I was going to talk about people that are brand new started and things that might help people that have been in it for a while. If you're doing Velada or Scentsy, pay attention to when you're doing it. I'm not saying you can't do things. I live in Houston, Texas. It gets very, very hot here. You might have to, if you're doing an outdoor event, you might have to take precautions on your stuff not melting. Again, if it's Scentsy or Velada. When I've done Velada, I've had to put all my chocolate in coolers. With Scentsy, I've had to be careful also because it does melt at a very low temperature. So, okay, so again, sorry, I got sidetracked a little bit, but I Google stuff. I look at local papers, word of mouth. I let people know, all kinds of people know, I do events all the time. And another way is because I've been doing them, I get asked to come back. When I first started, I've had a lot of people that have told me, well, it's really hard for me to get into an event because I'm in an area where there's a lot of Scentsy consultants. When I was in Florida, I was able to get into events a lot easier. And when I first moved to Texas, that was the case. There was all kinds of Scentsy consultants, and I couldn't get into them. So what I started to do is I actually on purpose started to get into events with both Grace Adele and Velada, mostly Velada because Velada had just launched. And I started looking at local ads, and because Velada had just launched, I said, I'm going to get into these events with Velada. And then the following year usually how events work is if you're in an event one year, the next year they're going to email you usually before everybody else and before they publicize it. So when they email that out, I right away, and again, this goes to be quick about knowing what you want to do. Right away, I emailed back and asked them if I can get in with Scentsy because, again, that's what my passion is in my baby. Yours, that might not be yours. So I was able to get in with Scentsy, and I've been doing the Scentsy ones the last couple of years now because of it. So let's see. I personally, there's many people that go outside of the area, but I really, really like to do events. And I pay attention to doing events more in my local area. And the reason why is because I want people in this area to see my face. I want people to get to know me. I want people to get to know, my webpage, kissmybricks.com. I feel like me being at an event is not just selling Scentsy, but it's also I want people to know me and just getting my face out there to the community. So I am big on doing events in my area. It doesn't mean I put events in other areas down, but I concentrate in my area first, and then I look for stuff that's a little bit further, but I mostly go for things nearby me. Now, when you're calling and looking for events, there's a couple things that you want to ask to make sure that these events are even worth your time, because I'm sure you've heard there's people that go to events and there was no one there. Or some people are like, I went to this event and I did amazing, and one day I sold $1,000 or $2,000, and then you go and hear about these events and they're like, I didn't sell anything, in my day or whatever. So really ask them. The couple things that you want to ask is, well, you want to make sure if it's local, you'll kind of know this. What kind of area is it in? Is it in a busy area? I know that there's a park nearby me that people do different events there, and I know that that's a really busy park. So if there's an event there, I'm going to jump on it, because every single time I've done it with different vendors, different people promoting it, every time I've done an event at that place, it does really well. So really know the area that event's being held at. If it's a busy place, if it's a visual place, you want to ask them how long they've been doing that particular event. Like a lot of times they'll have the annual fair, or they'll have it'll be like a foundation that does some kind of an annual carnival, or just things that they've done more than once. And if they've done it more than once, then you can ask them what the foot traffic's like. You really want to think about asking if it's an indoor event or if it's an outdoor event. Find out how big your booth is, obviously the price, and if it's within your budget. These are all things that you want to ask. I know when I first started to look for booths, I almost was scared to ask all those questions, because I felt like it was like an interview for me. And what you need to realize is you want to make sure that all these things are worth your time. So really find all that out. And then you want to, one of the things I really, really want to stress is, I'm going to go to that next. The next thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is things that I take to events, and I hope I got everything on here. I was going over it a few times, but and I'll take pictures of a few of these things for you guys to see. But a couple of the things that I take is I take inventory. Does it mean that you have to take inventory? Absolutely not. If you're new to Scentsy or to Grace Adele or Velada, whatever brands you do, you do not have to take. I have done, when I first started, I did events that I did not take inventory to. So don't feel like you have to take stuff. You can go with just a display. I'm at the point now where, I know we talked about fundraisers last week. I've done lots of fundraisers, and because of that, I've been doing Scentsy for almost 4 years. So because of that, I have really built my inventory up. And so I do take, I take bins with bars in there. And actually, I got this from Heather. She's the one that showed me this. So I'll take pictures of the bins and stuff, because I still have all my stuff packed up from my event that I did this week, and I need to unpack it, so I'll take pictures of them. But what I do is I got these bins. It's been the easiest thing. I used to take a rack with me all the time, and I'll take a picture of my rack also in case you guys would want to do it that way. But what I would do is I'd put my rack inside the car, and the way it's built, I would just lay it down on top of all my stuff. It's been easier for me to just take the bins, and what I do is I take anywhere from 4 to 6 bars of each one, depending on how big the event is, and they're all in alphabetical order. And it's been easy for me because people can find them really easy. I can find them really easy. If someone steps up to my booth and they say, hey, I'm looking for a sugar cookie, I just look under S. Sugar cookie's right there. If someone walks up to my booth and they say, I want something that has a clean, fresh scent, then I know the scents well enough to know, okay, clean and fresh. Okay, how about ocean? How about clean breeze? And when they're in alphabetical order, it's easier to find. So that's a really great organization system to do it. The other thing that has been amazing for me that has changed my world as far as events is I take my warmers and I actually put a picture of them on the outside. So every single one of my warmers has a picture on the outside of the box. This is really easy for customers to see what's in the boxes. I do display warmers. I don't want you guys to think that I don't display any, but I don't have to display every single one. I display, because I like stacking them, so I display the ones that are on top. So having a picture on the outside of them has been very helpful. And then if they see it, then I can, if I see that, oh, this one's really cute, it looks like it's an L, is that what it is? I will pull it out for them to see. I take tables and tablecloths. What you want to do is you really want to think about your setting and the way you're going to set it up before you get to the event. You should be told whether you're going to get a 6x6 or an 8x8 or whatever. My setup that I like to do is usually 3 tables, and it's shaped like a U, with people being able to walk into my booth. The reason I like to set up that way is because I want them to be able to come in and see my stuff and me being able to talk to them instead of them just going to the front of my booth and not actually walking into my booth. And I'll get a little bit more into that here in a bit. The other thing I take is I make sure that I tell my vendor, my coordinator, that I need electricity, especially if it's indoors. I want to put Sensi on. If it's not indoors and there's no way you can have electricity, use your room spray. I spray that sucker like crazy. I spray the tablecloths. I spray up in the air around it. So when people are walking by, they can smell it. And spraying the tablecloths really works. People can smell it when they walk by. Really consider if it's outdoor to maybe take a tarp.
Maudie,
you want to make sure that you have. Yes?
Maudie, can I ask a question? What do you do for Volata? Because that's what I'm going to be doing.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll go into what I take for Volata also. A lot of the stuff is very similar.
Okay,
when I did. Oh, it's okay. I'll go into it. It's okay. I'll go into the difference on Volata. So you want to make sure you take the tarp. You want to make sure you take change. I use the square. Not everybody uses the square. I like being able to say that I accept all major credit cards because most of the time when they see that I do, and they don't always see the sign, but when they'll ask me, they're like, do you take credit card? They have like 1 bar or 2 bars in their hands, and then when I tell them that I take credit card, they'll start adding warmers and stuff like that. So I like using the square. I like having mini testers there with Hostess packets ready to go. I like having my business cards there. I do a ballot box with drawing slips. On these drawing slips, it asks them specific questions like their name, their number, and again, we'll post these up on the website. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Heather, are they still on the Chicks with Bricks team site? The drawing slips? Are you there? Okay, I think they're still on there. They used to be. If not, I'll go ahead and post them. Also, recruiting packets. I like to take recruiting packets. I like to take, again, my sign that says I accept credit cards because people will be more apt to spend more money if they can swipe their card because a lot of times at events, especially if it's some kind of a carnival or fair, they're eating and they're spending all their cash on that, and they don't necessarily want to spend all their cash on buying Sensi or Volata or anything like that, or even Grace Adele. I like to have a display of all my layer stuff that they can open and use. I do have a spatula for them to use the stuff. I like to take scent samples and pass them out to people, and I will get to the Volata stuff and what I do, the difference with Volata. Take it, pass them out to people and people in the booth. And then I take labels because I like to label everything. Everything that leaves my hand needs to have my label, and everything that, because, and I want you guys to think about it this way, everything that leaves my home always has a label also. And the reason why is because you never know where that bar, where that chocolate, where whatever you have and whatever you're selling, whether it's a Grace Adele clutch, you never know where it's going to end up. People are not always buying that stuff from them. Sometimes they're giving it as gifts. So I cannot stress enough, label everything that you have. I've had people call me that have told me, I have no idea where this bar came from, but it has your information on it, so I want to order more. And that person actually ended up signing up and becoming a recruit. So label everything that you put out. I like to take catalogs. You want to make sure you take order forms, pins. I usually have a laminated catalog, and I'm going to be honest here. I'm a little stingy with my catalogs only at events. I give out catalogs like crazy everywhere else. And at events, I'm a little stingy with them, and the reason why is because every single person that walks by your table, they will try to take your catalog. So if you look in your Scentsy Family Store, oh my goodness, I cannot remember what they're called. If anyone wants to chime in and
product list
and tell me what
product
list.
Yes,
product list. Thank you. Yes, the product list. They're pages, for those of you that are newer, they're pages. It's just a one sheet, and if you label those, put your label on it. If someone asks you for a catalog, give them that. It has everything on there. It's a lot cheaper to do. Now, I don't want you guys to think I'm stingy with my catalogs all the time. It is only at events, because some of these events, you will have hundreds and hundreds of people that go by your booth. I do not want to go through hundreds and hundreds of catalogs in one day. So I use a product list for that. Okay, Velada. What I usually do for Velada is, and I've done it a couple different ways, so I'm going to give you two ideas on this. I love to give out scent samples. Chocolate samples. I want people to be able to taste the chocolate because I know that that's what sells. They love the taste of it. And not only that, it brings people into your booth when you're giving them something. You do have to be careful with this because a lot of times you need to get a food license with the health department. So really figure out whether it's something you want to do or not. But I've done it two ways. I've done it where I've set up for, and when I did my Velada booth, we did not have the raclette yet. I have not done an event outdoors. I've done like a small vendor event inside the house with Velada where I've actually cooked on the raclette. So it was easy to give. It was smaller, so it was easy to give things to people. And I made sliders that day. But when I've done big events, what I did is I got pretzels, and I kind of did it like when you go to Sam's or Costco, and I got the little cups, the little small cups, and what I did was I asked them what kind they wanted to taste. I grabbed a pretzel, dipped it in there, and set it out to them. That's all I had was pretzels. And I set it out for them to taste the chocolate. Now, you want to remember, it is just the taste. You're not giving them a meal. So I literally give them one pretzel, and that's it. The other thing that I've done before is I've dipped them ahead of time, and I've actually put them inside a little jewelry bag with a label on it, kind of like a scent sample, and they can taste the chocolate that way. And I've done different samples with different kinds. Those are just a couple different ways. Hopefully that'll answer your question as far as the Velada. Let's see. Sorry, I got sidetracked with that. Okay, so same thing with Velada. You want to make sure that you're giving out some kind of sample or something like that. That's what I like to do because I want to attract people into my booth. And one of the things hold on a second. One of the things I'm going to stress with you guys. The reason I do my U is because I like to be in front of my booth. I don't sit the whole time I'm there because I want to approach people. I want to walk up to them. I want to engage them. I want to bring them into my booth. So if people aren't walking to my booth, I'm at the front of my booth, and I'm like, hey, would you like a scent sample? And I start talking to them. If they walk by, I will compliment them to start up a conversation for them to come into my booth. So I'm constantly standing up and at the front of my booth. I do not sit down in the back. And it's important for you to do that because I have been to events where I'm not selling. I've just gone to them, and that I see another Scentsy consultant, and they're just sitting at the back of their booth. They're sitting down, and they're on their phone, and they're not selling anything. So it really depends on you guys to step out of your comfort zone and really approach people. Just because you have a stand-up and because you have a good product doesn't mean they're always going to come into your booth. You need to be out there and selling your stuff also. And I'm not talking about haggling or hassling people, but really make eye contact with people, say hi to them, again, compliment them. Once they come into your booth, you really want to listen to them. It's kind of like when you're talking to a customer one-on-one, the same thing. I can't even begin to stress how important it is for you to listen. And as I'm sitting there listening, and I say this a lot, so excuse me if I'm repeating myself, I'm constantly asking, how can I fit Scentsy into this person's life? Ask them how they're doing, ask them what they do, just small chat. And that just gives you clues on what you can talk to them next about Scentsy. So I'm going to go into one other thing. When I do events and booths, I don't concentrate on just sales. As a matter of fact, sales is the third thing I concentrate on. My main concentration is always bookings and recruits. I have always I've always thought I'm going to get more off this person booking a party and me selling to 10 of their friends than I am off them buying just one thing while they're there. So I just want to open up your guys' eyes to the fact that it's not always just about the sales at these things. You really want to concentrate on bookings, and once you start talking to them, you can start talking to them and seeing if maybe the opportunity is good for them to join. I'm sorry, I'm going to cough real quick. My throat's dry. So that's one thing. I'm going to tell you guys a little story of what happened to me. When I first started Scentsy, I did an event, and I went and I set up, and it wasn't an expensive event. I think I paid like $25. And for those of you that are just getting started, I didn't mention it earlier, churches are a great place to look, and little small craft fairs that are smaller in your neighborhood where you can spend maybe like $15, $20, even $25 for a booth. That's how I got started. But anyways, I had spent, I think, like $25 for this booth. I set up. I was there all day, and I sold 1 cent pack. And I walked out there, and I was like, great. I sold 1 cent pack. And that day, I talked to 2 people, and when I left there, I was like, oh, man, I totally lost money. I had just started Scentsy. I hadn't been around Scentsy that long yet, and I was like, I totally lost money. I sat there and I paid $20, and I sold an $8, thing, plus my commission on that on $8 isn't much. So I was like, I totally lost money here. But I ended up getting 2 recruits in that. And I hear lots of people always say, well, in order for me to make my money back on this booth, I need to sell X amount of dollars. And that's where this comes. If you are recruiting and you are booking parties, then you will make your money back. If your concentration is recruiting and you recruit somebody, so that day people might have said, well, she lost money, or I even said that. But I ended up recruiting these 2 girls, and both of them ended up one became a star consultant, the other one a superstar consultant. So in the long run, did I make my money back? I made way more than my $25 that I paid for that booth. So I can't stress enough, concentrate on recruits and bookings.
Marty? Can y'all still hear? Is anybody else there?
Yeah, I think she hung up on herself.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully she will get back. Okay. So who's got some questions real quick until she gets back on the line? I'll go ahead and answer some questions.
I don't really have a question, but
go ahead, baby.
I have something to help out the Volata girl. I'm preparing for a Volata event in April, and
yes.
I just want to share a couple things that I was going to set up.
Sorry, guys. I ended up getting kicked off the call. Are you guys there?
We are here. We were just killing some time till you came back, baby. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, my call failed on my phone. Okay, anyways, I lost totally train of thought of what I was saying. Okay, so again, if you talk to somebody and they say they're a teacher, think about it. Okay, how can a teacher get in? How can I fit sense in their life? Is it a basket party because they know lots of people? Is it a fundraiser maybe for an organization or something like that teacher's in charge of? So really listen to them. I can't stress how important it is, and ask questions so that you can get to know them more. And then let's see. Okay. Another thing is when you actually sell things, I fill out everything on that slip for them because I want to make sure I get their contact information. I want to make sure that I know that, that I can get them to be on my newsletter. And I tell them about it. Hey, would you like to be a part of my newsletter? Since we send out a newsletter once a month. Most of the time they'll give you their information. So I go ahead and write everything down. And then what I usually do is I fill out all their information. Normally during that, obviously, I give free shipping because I do have my stuff there. And then I make sure that I ask every person if they're interested in booking a party, and I ask every person if they're interested in the Scentsy business. It's no different than a party that you're having at a home. You want to make sure that you ask every person and give every person that opportunity, whether they want to join your team or not. And then during that time, I do tell them what sets me apart as a consultant. So I like to tell them that, I give free light bulbs out for repeat customers. That's one of the things that I do. And I like to tell them that I tell them about my house at that point. I have pretty much a Scentsy store in my house, so I tell them about it, that they're welcome to come, shop. Of course, I kind of see what they're like before I offer them to come to my house. But, they're welcome to come shop at the house. I tell them about that. I tell them about how I give free bars for buying referrals. So, and it's not something that takes me, a long time, but I like to get to know them, and I like to build a little bit of a relationship with these people. And then just a couple things. If you're at a booth, I've done booths by myself. Most of the time I actually do them by myself because I didn't have anyone to do them with me, and normally my husband's taking care of the kids. So if you're at a booth and it's packed and there's a lot of people at it, don't panic. Take your time. Make sure that you acknowledge other people when they walk into your booth. But if you're helping someone, most people will understand that as soon as you're done with them, that you're going to turn around and give the next person the same attention. But just make sure that you acknowledge them when they walk into your booth if you're alone. And then if it's slow, I cannot stress how important this is. If your booth is slow and you have time, and even while you're setting up, talk to the vendors around you. Those are great leads for you also. If they're not interested in doing Scentsy or booking a party or anything like that, they may know people who are. And the more you get to know those people, the better it is for you and your business also. I was at an event this weekend, and the lady that was selling food, she's thinking about joining after I talked to her. And the lady that was next to me, she's actually going to do a Scentsy party. So it's not just about, the people that walk into your booths, but really get to know the vendors around you also. And I know we're here at a half hour, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this right now. But the last thing I want to say is, every contact that you get, every person you talk to, everybody that you say you're going to call back, follow up with them and do it in a timely manner. Like if it's the weekend, follow up with them the following week. Make sure, whether if you can't do it Monday, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, but make sure that you say what you're going to do. Like I like telling them, well, you know what, I'll give you a call by Wednesday. Because that way they'll be like, oh, that's fine. And then you don't feel awkward calling because you told them you were going to call. So make sure you tell them when you're going to call by, and make sure you follow up and you do it. And that's it. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to see if anyone has any questions, and then I'll go ahead and post these things online. So does anybody have any questions? And did I answer that question enough about Volata and what I do with that? Press *6 to come on.
How do you keep track of who is who when you're calling people back?
I always write notes on my order forms, and I actually, when they fill out their drawing slips and they put them in, I pull them back out, and I literally write notes on there. And it'll be a funny note that means something to me. Like they'll walk up and this lady walked up to our booths one day and it was like, well, that was unexpected. I literally wrote, that was an unexpected lady. I know who that is in my mind. So just write notes to yourself on what they are and on their order form right after they walk away so that you know who everybody is.
And is that all you have out, though, for when you're doing Volata, though, is the chocolates? You don't have anything else out?
I put a few, when I display my chocolates, I have a sign in front of them that says what chocolate they are. And then I put warmers out in the back. I have a display that I use for both Scentsy and Volata, and it's one of those 3-tier ones. And I put different warmers on there. And then I stack the boxes in the back and make the boxes look nice also, just like I would my Scentsy ones. And then, but that's about it. There's not, there's not. Now, again, go ahead.
Have you not done the rubs or any of that yet?
That's what I was going to tell you. When I did Volata, when I did those booths, like when it was like an actual big booth, they did not have the raclette or the rubs yet.
Okay.
But if I were you, I would put the rubs and the raclette out. I don't know if I would are you doing a big event or a smaller event?
It's 10,000 people.
Yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily cook anything on it that I would be giving out. It's completely, obviously, up to you. You really, if you're going to cook anything and give it out with the rubs and stuff, you really need to go through the health department. And that's why I said I don't know if I would go through all that. There are some places, and I don't know with Texas, because when I did my Volata ones here, I didn't end up having to do it. I asked the vendor coordinator if I used it, and they told me no. But I know when I was looking at doing a few in Florida, I was going to have to pay like a day permit of $100 and something. Oh,
ours is in Georgia, thank goodness. But yeah, I'll have to find out then.
Yeah, find out with the health department, and then from there go on, because you literally have to fill out everything you're going to do. And some people have had to make sure they had washing stations to wash your hands and things like that, depending on what you do.
Okay.
That's kind of why.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, couldn't you, like, pre-cook, or it's not like cooking, but just kind of heating, like, a turkey sausage or something on your raclette, but bring it already cooked and say, hey, I did these earlier today, or something like that?
Well, you still have to go through the health department, but that's kind of why I went from doing the actual dipping in the chocolate to actually putting them in the little jewelry bags, was because of that whole thing of having to go through the health department and all that. I just thought it would be easier. Heather, have you done any Volata ones since the raclette's out?
So, also, instead of, you know how when you're having to, instead of the room sprays, and how you can entice people into the Scentsy booth, what's the way to do it for Volata to get people enticed into the room, into the booth?
That's what I did with the samples of the chocolate.
So that's a different way, though, instead of doing that? Okay.
Yeah, it was my sample of chocolate is what I did.
Okay. Thank you, and that was it.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Hey, Maddie, it's T.
Hi.
I just wanted, you said recruit package. Can you expound upon that? What do you mean? What is exactly in the recruit packet? And then one of the girls just texted me and asked me for you to explain a little bit more about going beyond your friends.
Okay. Recruit packets. What's in my recruit packet? I'm going to be completely honest with you when I say this. There's times where I have, like, especially in the fall, like where I'll make recruit packets and they're organized. They have a letter in them. They have a catalog in them. They have a join brochure in them. They have, I'm trying to think what else I stick in them. They have a catalog of each brand. They have a join brochure. And then they have a letter that I would put in them. I had started my fall off with this because I was going to be very organized. Towards the end, I ran out, and I didn't have time to get more done. So that the join host brochure, that's what I started giving out at the end. I just wanted something that I can put into their hands if they said they were interested.
Okay.
But yes, I literally had a letter written out with a catalog of each one, explained, Scentsy and what it was like, and the join brochure and stuff like that. I had some samples. Huh?
Do you still have a letter that you can share with everyone?
I'm sure I have one somewhere. The problem is I switched computers, so let me see if I can get it off my external hard drive from the other computer, and I will post that if I can find it on there.
Okay.
So, Yeah, so that's what I mean by recruit packet. But like I said, at the end, because I was doing so many events, I literally, in the fall, I stack them up. I like to do a lot of events in the fall. I like the holidays, and I like to be at those type of things. So, and it's qualifications for the trip and stuff like that. So I stack them up like crazy. So once I ran out, literally that join brochure was enough. Anybody else have any other questions? Oh, I'm just going to expand again on the hostess packets. What I do for that is exactly what I would put into a hostess packet if I was going to give away the mini testers. That's what I put in there, because I usually try to take a mini tester or two with me, and I try to get rid of them while I'm there. That's my goal to book. You know, whatever set of mini testers I have, whether it's one or two, I try to make sure that they don't go back home with me. Oh, sorry, Tanya, I just remembered your other question. The other one was to expand on to go outside of my circle was what I mean by go outside of your circle of friends is there's only so much that you can sell to your friends until you are going to get on their nerves. One of the things that I grew up with an aunt, and I've said this story before, I grew up with an aunt that every family event we had, she was coming and she was going to sell us something. And so when I started Scentsy, I didn't want to be this person. I didn't want to be my aunt. And so there's only so much Scentsy they can buy until you're not going to be able to sell them anymore. They're not going to be interested, and if you bring it up every time you see them, eventually they're not going to want anything to do with you or that. So I always say to go outside of your direct circle of friends, and one of the things that I do is why I do events is for that, so that I can go outside the circle of my friends and I can meet more people, and so that my friends aren't running away from me eventually because I'm trying to sell it. So my main thing is if I let everyone I know what I do, they know where to find it. I post specials on my Facebook. They know that I sell it. So they're going to come to me eventually to get it. And it usually happens when I'm not trying to get them to buy. They eventually come and they ask me about it. And so that's what I try to do at these events. I want to meet more people so that I'm not bothering my close friends. Sorry about that. Does anybody else have any other questions? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I'm not sure if it was even recording anymore. And if nobody has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the call. If you guys have more questions, you can always post online. And I will take pictures of my stuff as I unpack it, and I will go ahead and post those. It might be tomorrow morning, though, because that's my plan is to unpack tomorrow. So I will go ahead and do that and post all that stuff up there. Heather, do you have anything you want to add? All right. Well, we'll see you next week on the call. I hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you guys soon. You guys take care. Bye-bye.